I really do like these Bumblebees. Or Bumblebee and Cheetor. Which, if y'all remember, I headcanon Cheetor being grown up Bumblebee or teenage Bumblebee. But this is the vintage or classic Cheetor right here with his guns akimbo, looking like a badass. And then you got this one right here with his tail weapon that could be used as like a club or a flail or a mace or a whip sort of weapon. And then you got Space Bumblebee. They call him Space Bumblebee. I don't call him Space Bumblebee. I call him Siege Bumblebee because he should have been out in Siege. And I gave him the hammer that came with RC that's supposed to go with Alchemist Prime, because Bumblebee has a hammer. So I kind of like how this is going. Old and the new Cheetors, and then you have Bumblebee and Cheetor, because they have so many similarities. I would just call them the same character to me. I took Bumblebee's gun out, but I mean, like, Bumblebee's blaster even looks similar to Cheetor's blaster somewhat. Like, look, I'm just seeing a lot of similarities in these characters. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I really do think they the same character, you know. Because both Cheetor and Bumblebee are Kid Appeal characters, so I just like the compare and contrast this Cheetor, the vintage classic Cheetor or old Cheetor, to Kingdom or War for Cybertron Cheetor or Generations Cheetor. And I just have Bumblebee here for posterity, or shits and giggles or whatever. Because this Cheetor has like a gold color scheme, which also reminds me of Goldbug. But then these two, like this vintage one and Bumblebee, they have a lighter yellow, even though this one is more like an orangish yellow. But I still like this yellow because it's like very, very bright yellow. But yeah, it's like gold flake Cheetor versus like bright Cheetor, like yellowish orange Cheetor. But that's kind of what Bumblebee does. Bumblebee can have a gold color scheme when he's like Goldbug, or like yellowish orange sometimes, or like bright, just dark bright yellow. It just depends on like whatever like interpretation of Bumblebee you have. But to me, they all the same character. It's just artists draw different. And sometimes you have Bumblebee that's not a Beetlebug, that's a muscle car or a sports car or a sedan or a coupe. But I really do I mean, all three of these guys are excellent. It's just this one kind of like takes over more, because he don't have his gun or his guns. And he's a fatter cheetah. This one is a lunar cheetah. I mean, they're both good in their own ways, but he has his mutant ass. This one doesn't. That's how it probably looks while I was building this home. And with the mutant mask on, it's just how it looks without it. That's his weapon right there for him. And both Cheetors don't have any weapon storage. So it's true to form in a lot of ways. And then Bumblebee, unarm him or disarm him for a bit. Trying to put his hand back in. That's why it's taking me so long. It's hard to do stuff like that with one hand. Don't mind that part, but all three of them unarmed or disarmed with their weapons of choice, all laid and splayed out for you to see. I wish Cheetor had a melee weapon, and his gun, just like I did with Bumblebee. But see how, like, both of these is melee. It's kind of more like Bumblebee has a hammer, and then when he becomes Cheetor, it switches over to a whip. But it's still like melee, and it still goes into the theme of why I think they are the same character. Because Bumblebee, the reason why he doesn't really have a melee weapon is because, like, G1 didn't do the thing Prime did, where a part of their robot move became, or their hands and feet or whatever became weapons. But Beast Wars really does it where their transformation, their whole body or whatever becomes a weapon, or their guns are on them, like a part of their body becomes a gun. Instead of like the hand becoming a gun, part of their whole move became a gun. So that's it's more mature to me that way. And why I think Bumblebee and Cheetor are the same. And how Bumblebee became Cheetor, and then their ranged weapons, or their guns or firearms here, and then all three of them. But this is really not. This video wasn't really made for me to like go on my headcanon and try to prove it up with evidence and facts and logic and shit. It was just made more so I can compare and contrast the two Cheetors. And then Bumblebee's here for posterity, So